Okay. Hello, YouTube gamers. Here is a guide on the Dota 2 hotkeys. So, you have your standard QWER, we all know that. You can bind leveling talents or leveling spells as well, but as far as this goes, you can use unit-specific hotkeys. So for some heroes like Morphling, if I find them, I've swapped these around based on my hotkey system. You don't necessarily have to. I'm just used to these being WE, and at some point they changed for me to be DNF, I think. And then I changed DNF to CV a long time ago. I'll be covering like my hotkeys and then what I think are good hotkeys as well. So I'll go back to PL. I don't use quick cast at all, but I will explain when it's good and why it would be good as well. Um, my courier as well. So my courier has different hotkeys. You don't need to change your courier hotkeys. They didn't have all these buttons at the beginning of Dota 2, and I've just changed my hotkeys because I'm like a dinosaur when it comes to Dota now to like keep them similar to like at first I changed them to be more similar to Han, so I keep my Han hotkeys. And then they changed the courier to have 6 buttons. I don't remember when that was. And I had to change them again. So again, like not required to change these at all. Um, these are my defaults. You can set quick cast hotkeys, so instead of like pressing W and seeing the circle, if I put W on quick cast, um, it'll just go wherever my circle is. So we put on free spells. So wherever my mouse is, it'll just cast. I won't be able to aim it. This matters a little bit more with items, I feel like. Like some people really like having certain items on quick cast, especially if you're playing Tinker. Like having Hex on and Dagon on quick cast can be beneficial. I don't think you really are going to come across too many situations where um, it's going to really matter. Like it's just preference. Uh, oh, I see. My head is going to be in the way of this. I see. I see. Yeah, let me move this down here for now then.
We will.
Could call it in the chat. So, Han item hotkeys were Alt Q and stuff. Even in Han, I changed these right away. So, I think that, this isn't an RTS, but an RTS is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be your control groups all the way to 0. I think that, like, your items are way too important. Like, items and spells, like, I want to be able to blink, right? And cast a spell. I want to keep my hand like on the row of keys, like QWERs, and then I could press ASDF going down a little bit or up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't. Same reason I don't like the ZXCV hotkeys too much, even though I do use 2 of them for spells. And the F1 through 4, I don't like using too much because I like keeping my hand on like QWER and being able to press every one of my spells and items without moving my hand too much. So that's the reason why behind my hotkeys. So normally, like you would do, like default hotkeys would be Control 1 would be a control group. I have Control D, so D is my hero hotkey. Let's say I make another hero, an ally Huskar, and I'm controlling Huskar, or like I'm playing Lone Druid or something, right? I'm controlling Huskar. I want to go back to my hero. I just press the D button. My courier is on the G button. I recommend making your most important hotkeys all around where QWER is. So you could rebound tab, you can rebound caps locks, the tilde button. I use tilde for the scoreboard. But try and center, like there's some, like for instance, I rebounded the 6. I tried 6 as my last item to F, simply because I find it's kind of jarring to move my finger all the way to 6. And I feel like items are just too important. So I put F as my 6th item, and I have 6 for some other hotkey, I think. I don't remember. I don't think you want to put too many, like, it comes down to preference as well. So if you have a mouse with a lot of buttons, I just have the 2, like, standard thumb buttons or whatever. So one of them I have for scan, and the other one I have for leveling talents. You can put whatever you want on those. Just try to divvy up the roles that your hands have to do. So, like, for instance, my mouse hand is typically selecting stuff and moving my character, right? So if I'm using two of my fingers to like select to see items, to move my character around, and then I've also bound moving the camera, which like normally you'd have to edge pan. So like you can edge pan, eye camera grip. Some people have moved this job. Like I think Matumba Man said he plays with WASD to move the camera. And then maybe he has more. I don't know what his whole hockey setup is, but let's say you do like WASD for the camera. I would actually recommend having more buttons on your mouse because then you're like sharing the load a bit better. I think like one hand, like you have like 3 different jobs your hands want to do, right? You have items and spells, you have moving the camera, and you have right clicking and moving. So like, and then I guess like there's miscellaneous stuff like control groups and stuff. But like you want to divvy up those jobs where it feels best for your hand. I feel like moving the camera on your hero is like really important for your main hand on the mouse to be doing. And I feel like the item spells and everything else on the left side of the keyboard I keep over there. For instance, I don't know how it would work if I had like my blink dagger on my mouse. It would be weird for me having not practiced that way to like press like this is my scan button and like left click. I don't know. Like you should just use whatever you're used to, maybe from other games and stuff. I come from like an MMO/RTS background when I was a kid playing PC games, so a lot of my hotkeys are kind of like an amalgamation of games I played before. I could see like a lot of MMO players wanting WASD to move the camera, which is why I get that as well. But yeah, like having your side mouse button cover all your items and neutrals, if your thumb has to press like so many spells and items, I think it's honestly not good for you. Again, it's all personal preference, right? But like I have 4 fingers on my keyboard that have the role of doing control groups, my 4 to 6 spells, my up to 6 active items plus neutral item and teleport, hold position, the attack command. Like there's a lot of stuff those 4 fingers have to cover. If your thumb has to cover all your skills and items, that's a lot of work for one thumb to do, right? So even though you have extra buttons on your mouse, the goal isn't to like put as many things on one place, right? It's to try and balance, like give your fingers a balanced load. So like, hopefully that makes sense when you're setting up your own hotkeys. I know I kind of rambled on a bit. I don't have select hero again. I just use control group. So like D is for my hero. I have X for one of my illusion hotkeys. So I think if I get a Manta, I should be able to use both with X. Oops, press the wrong button. Give me a second. Let me move the chat a bit too. Actually, make it smaller because I underestimated how much space the hotkeys take up. So I have camera grip on mouse 3. You could rebind this to something else too. I think that would be a little crazy. I have G for my courier. So as long as I load into the game and do Control G, since I've set G as a control group here, every single time I load in on Phantom Lancer and I press G, the courier will be saved to G. Same thing, like if I haven't played a hero before, which is impossible for me now, but like I said, I was playing a hero for the first time, pressing D wouldn't bring me to my hero. I'd have to Control D first, and then it would get saved to that hotkey. So for my illusions, right, I've previously went in and hotkeyed these on the X button. I don't bind scrolling, so I don't use scrolling to bind as a bind at all. I don't like zooming in at all in Dota. It's a good question though. I would also recommend disabling scrolling. So one of these illusions, right, is the tanky one. It's this one. It has a different glow, and if I make an enemy hero... Oops. Give me a second. Auto attack is on, yes. First blood. I give him a Dagon. So it's this one. Okay. That was not enough HP. My bad. We'll try this again. Okay, this one is the tanky one. Dagon one-shots illusions. I see. Let me make a different hero. Real fucking funny. Let's try Zeus. He's basically a Dagon. Yeah, illusions die in one shot to Dagon. I forgot. My bad. That's still somewhat new for me. So see, didn't take that much damage. This one took a lot more. You can just go in and individually save this. So under these hotkeys down here, advanced, my extra ones I have on the F keys. I feel like for almost every illusion hero, it's not about doing it fast, it's about doing it precisely. So like, if I press W on PL, I can move my hand up to the F button and move them all like that. And that's a lot trickier than them all moving at once, really.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
For ease of use as well, like when I Manta, F2 is one of my 2 illusions, X is both of mine. Like my most used control groups are D for my hero, G for the courier, and then I have Z and X as like my extra one. So X is all my illusions. Sometimes I put Z as something else. Like it depends. It's really whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't need too many control groups, and I'll explain when I play Naga as well. Like, some people think they need a control group for every single illusion and every single combination of the illusions. It's really not that deep. You're not trying to be super, super fast when you press Manta. Normally what you want to do is, like, you go to auto attack, and then you just want to be able to move one of them. Even if you click, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Go through more of these. I bound hold position to S. There's no difference between binding this to stop. Like, hold position does what you want from stop anyway, so there's no reason to have 2 hotkeys for that in this game. I have Alt F for my neutral item, just because I'm running out of space on my keyboard. Again, I like keeping all my hotkeys compact on the left side, so let me make sure these aren't dying. You know, party chat wheel you could bind to whatever. Purchase quick buy, I'm on space, so if I queue up a bunch of Datalists, I can press space and it'll buy the items. You can bind space to whatever you want. It's honestly the least favorite key of mine on the keyboard. You could make it your BKB, because then, you know, like, you always have your thumb on space. It doesn't really do anything else. There's probably more efficient things you can do with the spacebar. I found that, like, I hate accidentally doing stuff with the spacebar, or, like, it feels, like, harder to press the spacebar than other keys to me, so I just don't have it bound to something important. If you want to know how to queue multiple items, so you can drag, right? Or you can shift right click, sorry. Oops, shift left click. If you hold shift and control, you can queue up multiple items. So a lot of people don't know that as well. And then another thing HJ just mentioned as well, you don't need to have a hotkey to reset your camera. So, like, the way I have it set up, right? D is the hero control group for me, usually group 1. If I double tap it, no matter where I am on the screen, I will go to my hero. So as long as I have my hero bound to a control group, and let's say I wanted to go to my illusions, right? I can double tap X, double tap D, double tap X, double tap D. So instead of having, like, a bunch of different hotkeys set up to center on certain things, you can just use the control groups. Control groups are super useful. You could also I just rebind them. HJ, I don't know if there's some super way of doing it. What you could do, and I'll just box, for example. You can set all your illusions in your main hotkey. I don't think this is as efficient. Like, let's say I want to move over here, but not with my hero. I can shift left click the box at the bottom, right? To take him out of the command for the next command. So I can go like this. Send one this way. But I find it's way easier to just have a control for stuff like that. And I'll show the illusion stuff in Naga in a second too. Just want to make sure I get through all of these. So down into advanced section, I'll try to show the brood thing too. I don't remember if I put in the console command again. Learn ability, I believe I just have control and then one of the spells is the default. So you hold on control, then Q, I'm leveling Q.
Your top tower is
You
under
can save
attack.
camera positions. I don't. There's like maybe some niche uses to this, but I feel like you don't have that much real estate when it comes to Dota. Like all your important hotkeys in my mind, if you want to have a similar setup to me, right? Like I have camera, middle mouse, and then I have movement and like selecting stuff on my mouse. So all the other stuff needs to be on my keyboard. I really have like tilde through 5, maybe 6. Like 6 and tilde are kind of sus. The F keys I can kind of use, but I have to move my hand a lot. Tab, Q, all the way up to T is really easy to press, but like Y is pushing it a bit. Caps lock all the way to G and H is pretty easy to press, but H is pushing it a little. Like you don't have that many hotkeys, and like even in my setup for my neutral item, for example, let me just get a usable one. I have Alt F, so.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Other than that, you know, pause F9 is default. If I go to these advanced hotkeys, hopefully nothing's covering the screen. This is a lot more screen real estate than I'm used to. Patrol, you don't have to worry too much. Directional move I have bound in the console to Alt. So like normally your hero will just start moving right away. If you click, it'll like turn and move at the same time. If you use directional move, he'll turn and then move. And he'll get stuck on stuff. So like normally he paths around it, it'll use the pathfinding. This will just bring you to the edge of the cliff and it won't turn you around. So like let's say you want to raise this Shadow Fiend. I guess I can make one real quick too.
As ordered.
Let's say I want to raise down the cliff a Shadow Fiend. I can just let me get out of the way of that building. Alt click and then press my spells. Because if I try to path over here, see how like I'm walking around because the pathfinding is a bit weird? Boomers like me back in the day, we just had to get really used to clicking in front of our hero so that we didn't path on the edge of these cliffs and stuff like that. Same thing with Slark Pounce, right? So you can just alt-click where you want to pounce and then press the button. It takes some getting used to still because you don't use this hotkey very much. So like for Slark, if I want to pounce onto this pink tree, I can directional move to it, right?
All part of the plan.
A lot of the times with pounces, I'm just auto-attacking, but like if I want to pounce in this direction, my hero's going to path around. So I can do this instead. Look up how to bind it in the console to alt, but the default binding is like, you would have to put a hotkey to this instead of the alt modifier. You have to use some console commands, which I'll go over a bit in a bit. If I remember to do the directional move one, because I'm going to probably have to pull up the console for the Broodmother thing, I think. Patrol, not too useful. Honestly, the most useful thing for Patrol for me is to like have a hero patrol like that I'm aiming spells at. Like, let's say I want to aim my raises on Huskar down here. So I'm honestly going to have to clear all this. Maybe 1 or 2 or something. Get this guy out of the way.
Your top tower is under attack.
Did I still have the Dagon? Okay, perfect. So I can patrol them left and right like this. Then maybe if you want to learn to like raise as something's moving. Or if you want to practice arrow or side blades, that's like the easiest way to have the NPC do that in a like predictable pattern. Otherwise, you're actually never going to use this in game. This is just a like honestly only is in the game because Dota was built off Warcraft 3 and was an RTS. Like patrolling an RTS can be useful. So cancel current action is usually S. You should just rebind that to hold position because it does the same thing but more. Like hold position is just a better version of cancel current action. Glyph I have on N, and like again, like you should have Glyph on a hotkey that you don't need access to right away. You don't want to accidentally glyph. The only time I've ever accidentally glyphed is if I'm typing to my team like noobs, right? And if I don't press enter, I'll glyph. So if I want to call my team noobs, I have to be really careful. Yeah, glyph default is J, which is fine. I have mine on N because I have like I bound something else to J. I don't remember. But just be careful when you're typing because it should be on a hotkey you're not going to use very often. Same with like chat wheel. Like this is on O for me. You don't want to accidentally press it, and you should be like thinking about when you're going to use the glyph, or you can just honestly press it down here. It really doesn't make that big of a difference. It's not something. It's not like BKB where you have to reflex it super hard. Use those like really close to your fingers hotkeys for the more important stuff, like items. I believe you have to enable advanced quick cast and auto cast hotkeys for certain things. Auto casting, I suppose I can go over that as well. The default hotkey, and I don't know why you'd ever want to change it, but you could, is Alt plus the spell. So like leveling up would be Control plus the spell. This turns auto cast on. So for Viper or Drow or anything you would auto cast, there's like almost zero benefit to auto casting unless a lot of stuff is going on, because you're never going to auto cast in lane. You don't aggro creeps when you use a spell that's auto castable. So like Drow Ranger's Frost Arrows, for example, if I make a Drow Ranger here, hopefully it makes where my cursor is, if not I'm going to have to move. Yeah, I knew it.
Yes.
Let me teleport over here.
That was my thought.
I make an enemy Drow, right?
Arrow.
So normally if you auto attack, you aggro to creeps. I'll wait for them to reset. When you manually use these auto attack spells, they're treated as spells. They don't draw aggro. So pretty important to like not necessarily always use auto cast. In a team fight, if you're like you don't want to, like, for instance, let's say it's like 35 minutes on Drow and you're in a team fight, auto cast this shit because you need to use your finger for other, like, your other items or whatever, but yeah, there's no stick charges either way. Select allies, I don't know if I'd ever want that. Like, maybe if I was a support player and I picked, like, certain heroes, like, for the most part, and this is true for creep aggro as well, you can auto attack the portraits. Or, like, let's say I wanted to save PL, and he just made a billion illusions. I don't know which PL is real on my team, and I want to put Pavis on him, which honestly could grief PL, because it could show the real one. You can also use it on the portrait at the top. Something people don't know, though. So let's say you're playing Oracle, and your PL's dying, and he's just in this huge cluster of illusions and enemy heroes. Just use the portrait at the top. I liked the way Han did it, where they had the portraits on the side. It was a lot easier for me to click on, but yeah, the portraits at the top are a little smaller in Dota than I'd want them to, but you know, I don't think you can change it, so it is what it is. I have take stash items on Caps Lock, not important at all anymore. It used to be really important on Tinker because I would stash my items to heal up in the fountain faster. Otherwise, like, that doesn't matter at all. There's like courier hotkeys for that. People used to drop their items on the floor in the fountain as Tinker too, and then somebody just like stole all of them one time. So now, and then you know what I mean. Purchase sticky. So I have teleport on my sticky purchase. I think Jenkins and a lot of other memers put rapier here, and if I press Y, it'll buy a rapier. Just put TP on this one. Not important at all anymore either. Like maybe I could use this for something else as well, because you get a TP for free when you die. This was really important when you didn't, because you would buy a TP before you die. Because when you die, you lose gold, right? Unless you have all reliable gold. Not really going to go in like the gold mechanics here, but if I die, it'll cost me 300 gold. So if I had 300 gold and I needed a TP before I die, you know, like it's just super not important to have this sticky anymore. Yeah, you could have bound the Tome of Knowledge as well. Open shop I have on B because I'm a Han player. That's what it was in Han. If I was a League player, it'd probably be whatever the League shop hockey is, but I rebounded in that game too, because they B-call in that game or whatever. Camera, again, like you can bind this to WSD. You should never use like left, right, up, down, really. Zoom in. I have it disabled in somewhere. I either have it disabled in these options or in the console, so this just never works. You could, in theory, rebind this to stuff, but again, if you're using camera grip, I wouldn't do it. Oh yeah, I put J as show recent event. So like, if a teammate pings somewhere and you press J, it'll go to pings. I actually found this to be kind of useful in like 2014, and then I stopped using it altogether. So, not the most important thing these days. But yeah. Other than that, like, you have these options, right? Like, the alt modifier that you could change if you wanted to. I don't think I need a hotkey for death summary. These are just hotkeys actually on the courier. I don't want additional hotkeys for them. Like, I think they're down in the right by default. I don't have a hotkey for them. I just select my courier if I'm going to use them. So I don't find having a hotkey for those very useful. Toggling auto attack, I feel like is some crazy shit, so I wouldn't do that. You have your taunt, so I believe PL doesn't have a taunt. Shadow Fiend should. It's not working. I don't know if I have it equipped or not. Maybe it's because it's not like me on my loadout. I think I'm not You can rebound the Windows or Command key. I've never rebounded in my life, so it still pulls up the Windows menu for me when I use it. So it's just not a hotkey I'll ever use. I'm not a big thumb user on my left side of the keyboard. I hate using my thumb, so probably never gonna bind that anyway. My select hero hotkey, I have a control group for my hero, which is D. So I control D on every hero. And then if I'm clicked on somewhere else, I can double tap D. Or if I don't want to move the camera, I can press D. So these control groups right here, you don't need these ones. These are like fake news. Bind keys based on keyboard position. I have no idea what that means. I think it's for like keyboards with multiple languages. I really have no idea. Left click camera grip. That's not for me. Maybe someone out there uses it and they could tell me why it's better. Quick cast triggers on key press instead of key down or something, or key up. I don't know what version League does, but I know people complained about having this as an option. I don't use quick cast at all. You're more than welcome to. It's like, if anything, both of them have their advantages and disadvantages, so it is what it is. Smart double tap, I think if you hold Alt, it will do the double tap. I don't care about, I just double tap. So auto attack I have on standard. And then I usually have my illusions and summoned on always. I don't know if I should change this. I haven't really played around with it too much. I'm not a carry player. I might change this around on different heroes, because one thing that sucks, like I was showing earlier, right, is like if I W onto the drow, it's fine because everything will attack. But I'm pretty sure if I manta, because it's not a spell, not everything will attack. Like my hero will AFK, which sucks. But yeah, it's really just gonna make a difference for manta. So I have to do some extra. It's like less. It's more obvious when I've used manta when I play PL. I think. You use quick casting into smart double tap. Thank you for that. That's what it's for. So I don't use it. I recommend standard. You can use whatever. Boomers use always because that's how it was in Warcraft 3. And I feel like most of the boomers have switched off always, because always is just huge grief. You're gonna spend like literally 100 APM stopping your hero from attacking every creep it sees, so I just don't like it. I also would not recommend never. Maybe there's some people that play with never, but like it is really annoying for certain spells in this game if you press your ability like this and then you have to box and auto attack. Like I'd much rather press W and everything start hitting already. Same thing with Storm. I want my hero to attack while I'm using my spells automatically. I don't know how to like really put into words how it works, but you'll understand if you've tried both systems, because I have tried using Never before and I didn't like it at all. Right click deny. Maybe if I was starting the game over, I would try, but I like being able to position near my creeps. What I found when I tried to use this a long time ago was even though I right-click to last hit and A-click to deny, it's very unintuitive. I should honestly be A-clicking for everything or right-clicking for both, right? But I would like position my hero by clicking on allied stuff a lot, and then my hero would stop moving and attack, and I would die, and I would lose my mind. So honestly, like the biggest thing with these options isn't trying to use what the most optimal situation, like no matter what possible, like maybe it is more optimal if I learn to use only right click, but the advantage is like so minimal, if any, that you should just use whatever you're used to whenever it feels good. Yeah, I A-click to do both, but a lot of the times I don't like going, like, I like using my finger for other stuff, right? So it's not like having to press 3 buttons to kill a creep instead of 1 is not ideal, but it doesn't make a difference really, so I'm just used to the old way. Smart attack move. I don't know if I covered that yet. Teleport requires stop. I think everyone should use that. Channeled abilities, I don't think so, unless you always miss your black holes by
The enemy's bottom tower
like pressing
has
other
fallen.
stuff. Like, if you suck at Enigma, put this on. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. Quick attack, I don't care so much for.
All a gift.
This is like quick cast, but for the auto attack button. So like, this is just moving around, right? I can also press the M button, which I'll go over in a bit too, because I forgot about in the other thing. There's only one hero in all of Dota I will ever use the M button for, and that's Juggernaut. And then if you use the A move button, right, so this puts an attack on the ground, my hero will walk in the direction and auto attack anything it sees. So one like useful tip for illusions, right, is I can shift click a move command and then an auto attack command. So if we watch these illusions, they'll walk up the hill, they won't hit anything until they get to the camp, and then they'll attack this.
Good idea.
So if I want to send them down the lane, I could just like do this. If I want them to specifically go for the next wave, I could also shift Q an attack command after
Your top
move
tower
command, like
has
that.
fallen.
And then they'll skip any heroes they go across.
We rush.
But shift queuing is like super important to get used to as well. What else? I don't want to spend too much time on all this stuff. This stuff, I like using move to cancel abilities, so not really a hero I can show right now, but I like the extra large minimap. Trying to go over things that are super fast. Holding Alt. I like the hero icons instead of the colors. It's a lot easier. Disable camera zoom is here. I have edge panning on, but I don't use it anymore. I don't like center camera on respawn. You should always turn that off.
Tower is under
I like
attack.
making the minimap heroes a little bigger on the map. This stuff doesn't really matter. And then in
Your top tower is
advanced,
under attack.
I use auto repeat right mouse. At bounty runs, I usually just manually click. But I like using auto repeat right mouse for one simple reason. Is I used to just spam click to move around a lot because it's more precise. Same thing I was talking about earlier, right? Like old school, you had to like move in front of your hero like this to be precise when it came to cliffs. Now you can just kind of directional move. But the more clicks you put in, the less you have to trust the pathfinding, and the more your hero will actually go to where you're clicking or where your mouse is. So I just use it for moving around. Don't necessarily need it. Smart attack move is important. I don't think I have enough time to go over too much in-depth stuff. I've been told and I was shown that when you're chasing heroes in fogs, all smart attack move does is attack what's closest to your cursor, really, I think. If I read it correctly. Instead of the first hero they see, it'll be the enemy closest to the cursor. So, like, if I misclick and I want to hit that one low creep, I misclicked. But there we go, I got it on the second one. Or, like, that creep in the back, right? If I just do this, it'll hit the first thing I see. It helps when chasing in fog. If there's heroes over here, or that are going in and out of fog, and there's creeps over here, if you use regular A move, your hero won't chase in the fog. He'll chase what he sees, and with smart attack, he'll actually go in the fog. Is how it showed me. I don't know if they patched it or changed it, but regardless, it's just an upgrade no matter what. So you should always use that. None of this other stuff matters too much. I like the shop search gets focused on open because a lot of the time I use the search option because I don't know. I just find it pretty quick. Like most of my items I have over here, which you can drag in if you edit your own guide or whatever. Anything I don't have in there, like if I really wanted a heart really fast, heart and then shift click it. I don't really open the shop that much. my solution to like not having to open the shop is just having my stuff queued in the bottom right. Did I miss anything in here? So there's a few more things I wanted to show before I end the video. Oh, you also move when you cancel Dota. Yeah, that's what it was. Stretch solo queue, dashboard forward doesn't matter. You could mess around with this. This is so you don't misclick on the mini map. So like,
Your bottom tower is under attack.
that still happened to me there, right? But you will find that you don't click on the mini. Like, see how
Your bottom tower is under attack.
if you're like clicking around, it'll have like some misclick protection on the mini map. It hasn't happened to me in forever, but I haven't messed with it that much. Other than that, don't have screen shake enabled for sure. Definitely don't have screen shake. This stuff doesn't really matter. I'm not really going to go over video settings. I did want to go over a few things about control groups and illusions in this last section, so let me spawn Naga and Brood after. I need to delete some heroes. Reset. How do I delete some heroes? Remove.
Forward.
Remove. There we go.
Can this be?
Okay, so let's say I'm playing Naga and I have Manta. You know, there's a lot of illusions. Usually this is pretty overwhelming for people. They're like, how do you control so many illusions? What are you doing? So what you can do, I have to load in actually as Naga. Let me do it the other way around. This is a perfect example of like how the hotkey system works. So because I made a different hero like that instead of me being in control. So this will be like my actual saved profile. If I press Q, I'll have all my illusions on my hotkey now. Because they save. So I have one for all of my mirror image illusions. And if I wanted to send them all to camps, like in the Radiance meta, I would move command, shift click 1, move command, shift left click 1, move command. And I have illusions on auto attack, and I messed up one of the shift keys, but that's okay. Bear with me, I'm trying to do this live, so let's go to the dire tool and do it. So I select all my illusions, auto attack, shift left click, auto attack, shift left click, and then if you wanted to play with auto attack off, you're gonna have to shift click move and then the A move after. And that will farm each of the camps. So same thing with like Manta here. I'm gonna box them and just send them. I think I have Manta on Z on this hero. This is not gonna make it in time, but this one should. That way you don't have to have a single hotkey for like every single thing. Right? So I recommend not doing it this way. Like, if I box all of them, right, then I have to, like, go like this, then I have to go like this, until I have my hero left, and my hero's moving around. I like using the shift left click for just the illusions, so I don't bind, like, illusions to my hero hotkey. You could use, like, there's a hotkey for select all controlled units. I don't recommend using that. I recommend using control groups instead. Control groups are like insanely better than all these like MOBA hotkeys because they come from RTS. But, like, the goal is literally to control as many units as possible. And they have so many baked in features. Like, if you use control all units, you can't do the thing I did, where I'm using like the hero box icons to split my control group up. Like, that is super useful. Same thing with like my Manta if I want to cut both waves. That is much faster and easier to me than like using control all illusions or boxing them and then sending them individually or whatever. But in theory, you could just do this again and then... But, you know, this has a disadvantage. If you're not super fast, your hero's also moving with them for a bit. Brood and console command stuff is like the last stuff I want to cover. Let me see if it saved the Brood console command I had last time. I don't have to Google it. So... yeah, so it's tabbing to all the spiders because it's the other group, but that's fine. Let me Google the console command. Dota selection groups false. This is the command you want. I'll put it in the description as well. With this, it's not going to tab through control groups. It's going to tab through individual units. So you can just press tab and just start clicking everywhere, and your spiders will go everywhere. No Meepo. I don't play Meepo, so I can't really go over my Meepo hotkeys because I don't play Meepo, but it would be similar to Naga, I'd imagine.
Stretching my legs.
You have to turn it on and off? I don't know what I would turn it on or off for. I don't play it. Like, maybe if I played Chen, I'd want certain groups. I don't know what the, like, I feel like, I'll make more spiders in a second, too. So, like, something useful about Brood. These are big spiders, okay? They have 20 damage and a lot more HP. I have them all on X, so you could just leave it that command on forever. It still saves your control groups. No, here's what I have. I have Z as just the big ones, and then X is all of them. So if I want to only send the small ones in, I can do Z. I can do X and then Z, right? If I only want to send the small ones, it's usually the opposite. Is you want to send them, just want to send the big ones in because you don't want the small ones to die to AOE, stuff like that. Tinker or Invoker hotkeys. There really isn't any special thing about those heroes. It's just your item hotkeys, really, or for Invoker, whatever QWR you have, right? Yeah, not a lot of people know about the two sizes of spiders either. Finding how to find alts as directional move. This is the command for that. I'll also put that in the description of the video. That way, instead of adding a new hotkey for directional move, I just hold Alt. And that was for like pouncing or playing Shadow Fiend if you want to mess around with that. Yeah, so like exactly what Fight of Grey said. They'll run the larger ones in to tank the AoE, and then they'll bring all their spiders in after the AoE is gone. There's a way to save console commands. I don't remember. I think you have to put it in the auto executable, or I'll show on screen as well. This might be where mine is. Give me a second. I don't remember how I saved it. Honestly, it's been so long. But I save like the console in here. Like you can put it in launch options. I used to have an auto executable file, but they put a lot of the auto exec stuff in the game. I don't know how I saved Alt as directional move. When I play on my Smurf, I have to rebind it every time, and I've just been too lazy to find a way to permanently do it. Your Google's as good as mine when it comes to saving the console commands, so I went over Naga earlier. I can do it again real quick. But I have one group for all my mirror images, and then I just shift left click the boxes to move them around like this. With Manta, Manta, I have the X, or sorry, I have my Z hotkey for Manta, and I do the same if I'm splitting lanes. In lane, normally I just like send them and then just like click two of that. Like you should be sending two on a support and having two with yourself. You've like updated Naga hotkeys because I haven't played Naga like a lot since it was a mid hero. But the way it's played now, it's less about splitting them individually with Radiance like it was in like 2015. It's more about having groups of two. So I'd probably change my hotkeys around, but that's just how I would approach it. Shift tab, deselect, what do you mean? Indeed. Groups of two can be better than so. Like usually you're gonna send two illusions to a camp now and a hero plus an illusion to a camp. So I'd probably redo my hotkeys. Again, mine were set up for Radiance Naga like years ago. Literally a decade ago almost. But yeah, I think that's. I don't know if you guys have any like quick things I can go over for hockeys. I think that's it. Beastmaster, I just have a hockey for boars, and I have a hockey for my big helmet dominator. If I select all, not shift. What do you mean by shift tab? Shift tab opens like the Steam thing.
Yes, from
The tab thing's not working with the Brood, if that's what you're asking. Like, maybe if I... Yeah, it's not working. With the Brood thing. Yeah. Manta versus Illirin differently? Usually they're on the same hockey, but anytime like something weird pops up, I can just manually box and select, so...
So you say.
Can I do Beastmaster? There really isn't, like, with the stuff I went over so far, you should be able to make your own hockeys. Like, this is the point of this. It's not so that everyone can just copy my hockeys. But, like, using the tools I've shown, you should be able to make your own Beastmaster hockeys. So, like, if you like having one hero hockey, and then one for all your stuff, and then one for your boars, and one for your Helm of Dom or whatever, go for it. If you just have, like mine is just boars, Helm of Dom, hero, and then I just box if I want to select them all. So, whatever you like. If you spam these heroes, like I don't spam Beast or Naga, you probably get better at changing your hockeys over time, but this is how you should approach making it. But yeah, I think that's about it for going over hockeys. Any more questions, I imagine people can leave in YouTube comments and stuff. But yeah, hopefully that covers everything you would ever want to know about Dota 2 hockeys. I know I probably forgot one hockey or something, but yeah.